don't want to constantly feel like I need a break from my life. That's the whole point. Their behaviors start becoming my triggers. I'm gonna be so for real with you. I think that's kind of baloney. I don't even want to say this. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited for this video. I'm also a little bit nervous about it, but this might be the most casual, real and raw video I've uploaded in a while, because today we're going to talk about something that I had never really heard about or understood until very recently. I posted something on Instagram about how I was just feeling all of these feelings, and a lot of you really resonated with how I was feeling. I also got a lot of really good insight from you guys, and I just wanted to kind of sit down and have a coffee chat with you. This is a little bit of a special coffee chat because my sweet in-laws are at home with my girls. I went and got a coffee out, and we were in the car instead of in my big comfy chair, but we're just gonna get comfy and talk about mom burnout. I did not know mom burnout was a thing, you guys. I really didn't, and I have just been experiencing it lately, kind of for the first time. Maybe not for the first time, but for the first time kind of acknowledging what I was feeling. I should pause before I jump in the deep end. If you're new here, my name is Emma, and I would love for you to subscribe. I make all kinds of motherhood and lifestyle and faith content, and I also love to just sit and chat with you and encourage you, and this is going to be so chatty and casual and just kind of a vent session, but it's also going to encourage you. So I'm not gonna just sit here and word vomit and just share all these really deep feelings that I'm feeling. I'm also going to provide you with tips to kind of get out of this feeling, things you guys shared with me on Instagram that you do when you're feeling this way. My biggest goal with this video is just that you feel less alone if this is something you are struggling with. There's a lot going on in my head, so grab your coffee or your tea. Let me know what you're sipping on, what you're doing right now while you listen, and let's just jump right in. First of all, I feel like it's important to acknowledge that burnout is a very real thing. Whether you are a working mom, a stay-at-home mom, or just not a mom at all, I think you can experience, I know you can experience burnout in every area of your life. And so this does not have to specifically be tips for the burnt out stay-at-home mom. I think this is relevant no matter what area of your life you're feeling this way. I experienced seasons as a teacher where I had teacher burnout. I experienced seasons as a social media content creator where I'm just burnt out from creating content. And right now I am learning that I'm experiencing burnout as a stay-at-home mom, which I honestly didn't think was a thing, because in my mind, burnout is... Why did a car have to pull up over there? Whatever. You know what? They'll never see me again. I don't care. In my mind, burnout is associated with a normal job, and I kind of was in denial or had a lot of guilt thinking that I was feeling burnout for staying home with my kids. Like, I just kept telling myself, like, you can't have burnout. This is not a job, and this is also a really wonderful thing. You are not allowed to feel this way. And let me tell you, that internal guilt that I put on myself only made myself feel so much worse. When I finally was able to just admit how I was feeling and open up about it, made me feel so much better. And it also made a lot of you guys reach out and say, oh my gosh, I've been feeling this way too, or this is very normal. So for me personally, my burnout lately has looked like when I wake up in the morning, I'm kind of dreading another day. I don't even want to say this. It's the same old, same old. It's kind of feeling like Groundhog Day a little bit. And it's hard to feel that way, and I have a lot of mom guilt for feeling that way because it's the best kind of Groundhog Day. Like, I have no desire to do anything else. It is the biggest blessing of my whole life. Like, I can't even get through the sentence without giving a disclaimer, and that's kind of how I've been treating it in my own mind too, is you should not be feeling this way. This is a privilege. This is an honor. You love your children. This is the best thing you'll ever do. These are the days you'll want back. And all of that is so true, and I truly feel all of that. But both can exist at the same time. I can feel so genuinely grateful that it could bring me to tears while also feeling so burnt out that it could bring me to tears. And it's hard to accept that because it feels like that doesn't make sense. They shouldn't coexist, but they totally do, at least for me. And I can bet that you feel the same, whether it's with your job or staying home or whatever you're feeling burnout in. It can be a really beautiful thing, but it can still be hard. I also have a lot of internal guilt when I complain about staying home or I struggle with it because I know there are so many moms out there who would do anything to be in my shoes. And I once was a working mom who would do anything to stay home with my kid. So now being in the flip side, I feel like I should have zero complaints and my life should be great and I shouldn't complain about any of it. And it just makes everything worse when you shove it down. So step one is be real, be honest. It is okay to say, hey, this is really hard and I need some help here. Or I'm feeling very overwhelmed and I need XYZ. So for me in this season, that has looked like kind of dreading a new day because I know we eat the same breakfast, we play with the same toys, I am in the same room, I'm probably gonna deal with the same tantrums and correct the same behaviors and clean the same floors. Like it is very repetitive. It's just falling into the regular routines and kind of taking all of that for granted. That's the first biggest like symptom or feeling I've been feeling lately. Another sign for me was just feeling super overwhelmed by things that shouldn't really overwhelm me. How do I describe this? There are so many things on my plate that I'm getting like C minuses in all categories of my life, and I want to do well and I want to steward everything well, and I have so much creativity in my mind and I have so many ideas and so much I want to do, but it just feels impossible. It feels like it's just unattainable for me. And then I get really overwhelmed with the fact that there's so much going on in my mind, but I can't actually see any of it through. It's really hard for me too. And then the biggest sign for me, and this is a lot of humility to admit this here, but it's the way that I treat the people around me, specifically my husband, but really my children. I lack so much patience and gentleness and kindness, basically all the fruits of the Spirit, all the things that the Holy Spirit provides, I feel like I lack, which ding-a-ling-a-ling, the Holy Spirit provides it, which means I need to be more saturated with the Holy Spirit. But anyways, that just super transparently is something I really am struggling with, is just giving my kids more grace. I am in a season where I feel like my time is not my own, and 95% of the time that I am awake, I am serving little babies. So I feel like I've been just a little bit more snappy, getting really irritated at things that really should not be that big of a deal. I don't know, silly little things that wouldn't normally make me snap or feel super frustrated have kind of been triggers for me, and that is a huge tell for me when I need to step back and like get myself right, is when their behaviors start becoming my triggers and my pressure points, where things like super loud noises and screams immediately send me over the edge, or a tantrum or a big mess, things that are just part of childhood and I normally can get a handle on and I've learned to just like let it go. When I'm feeling super burnt out and exhausted mentally, I have a hard time letting it go and have a hard time just like moving past it and being patient and gentle and kind. So those are like the biggest things that have been showing me lately, hey, we need to fix this. Especially when I'm involving my kids and like the way that I'm treating my kids, I know dang well that they deserve more patience and more kindness. They're so little and they did nothing wrong. Like, they're just kids. But then that piles on the mom guilt even more, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the world's worst mom. That was a lot. That was a lot of vulnerability. But my point in sharing that is I hope that somebody out there just listened to that ramble and feels seen and feels less alone, because I know it's not just me. So what am I doing? What should we be doing to combat burnout? And how am I going to prevent myself from feeling this way? When you look up like how to get out of burnout, a lot of people will say, just prioritize self-care. And I'm going to be so for real with you. I think that's kind of baloney. I don't think that did you just see the bike? Yeah. He just scared me so bad. I don't think that doing a face mask and taking a bubble bath at the end of the day is going to fill my cup up. Like, personally, that is not going to heal my soul from feeling burnt out. Like, yeah, that's nice, but that is not fixing the root of the problem that I'm experiencing here. So number one for me personally is doing a check-in on where is my focus? What is my priority on throughout a day? God really showed me like, hey, you are so focused on your to-do list, your productivity, things that are not right in front of you. When you are so busy focused on anything that's not in front of you, you are ignoring what's right in front of you. And for me, that's my kids. And so then when my kids right in front of me have a need, I feel frustrated because mentally I'm somewhere else. Mentally, I'm wanting to get something else accomplished. and they are preventing me from accomplishing what I really want to do. And I have to do a heart check real quick and remind myself right now they are the most important work. And so that's really helpful for me in those moments when I get super short and frustrated and short-tempered. I kind of call myself out of it. Keeping myself present is really helpful. Kind of similarly, a lot of the things I also saw were taking a lot of breaks. And I am not anti-break, obviously. I am on a break right now and it is so good for you, and it's been what I needed right now. However, when you live every day just waiting for the next break, it's just like what I just said. You're not being present. You are so busy focused on, I can't wait to go get this coffee. I can't wait to go be by myself. I can't wait till my husband gets home so I can go be alone for 20 minutes. Then it's robbing me of the present moment. And I think it's good to have scheduled breaks, but when you are so busy just focused on that and using that as your savior, and that is what's gonna like rescue you out of this pit, I think it can become really toxic because you're just living for your breaks. And when I was also kind of brainstorming how I'm gonna get out of this funk, I didn't want that to be the only thing that I had to look forward to. I wanted to figure out how can I change my day to day to better serve me and my kids and to prevent me from feeling this way without needing a break. I don't want to constantly feel like I need a break from my life. That's the whole point I guess I'm trying to make here. I don't want to be living for the breaks. I want to love every day so deeply and truly and purely that I am not craving a break every single minute. What are little changes in my day I can make to find joy in the mundane, in the Groundhog Day? Before we move on though, speaking of breaks and taking time to yourself, something that I heard recently when I was kind of researching and listening to podcasts and figuring out how I was going to get out of this, I heard a question that kind of shifted my whole perspective as well. And it was when you get breaks, so like during nap time or after bedtime or when someone's watching your kids, what are you spending that time doing when you have free time? Are you knocking off as many things on your to-do list as possible? Are you working or cleaning or doing things that you feel like are weighing you down on your responsibility list? Or are you doing anything to fill your own cup? Are you doing anything that actually brings you joy? Do you have a hobby? This is what I realize is my problem actually, is when I have a break, I knock off my list because it's such a mental load for me. When I have a minute to myself, I will get as much done as possible as I can. Normally, in a situation like this, when my in-laws have my kids, if I don't have an appointment or something to be at, I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to accomplish as much as I possibly can. And I don't think that's always bad, but today I told myself I am not going to do that. I'm going to just relax and like do things that bring me joy. And it's actually been really nice. Shocker. Yesterday during my kids' nap time, I worked out for the first time in a few weeks. It's been like a month or two at least probably since I've worked out, to be honest. And it was so nice to just do that. I think that contributes a lot to burnout when you are filling your free time with obligations and work and things that you have to do, which obviously are important. I think it's all about balance, but also filling it with things that bring you joy and actually are fun for you. So that's another big thing I'm going to focus on, is when I have breaks, doing things that bring me joy, finding new hobbies. I'm not sure what my hobby's going to be yet, but I'm working on finding one. I'm also getting back into a workout routine. And I also think you can do a lot of things that find you joy throughout the day. I've also been listening to podcasts or music while my children are awake. I feel like we are kind of no screens, ish, and it's been wonderful. We will watch a family movie every weekend, and the TV is just never on in our house when our kids are awake. Anyway, all that to say that I just never have screens on. I never really have anything on. I do listen to worship music, and that's super helpful, but I have been kind of giving myself some grace with, it's okay if every once in a while, if my kids are playing or I'm cooking dinner or I don't know, we're doing something together, if I want to watch a quick YouTube video or I want to pop in an AirPod and listen to my favorite podcast while we're playing, it is okay for me to have a little bit of entertainment. And I felt a lot of guilt about that, especially because I don't allow her to watch anything. Popping in an AirPod and listening to a YouTube video or a podcast is not harming anybody. It's actually giving me a little bit of entertainment And it also prevents me from just scrolling in front of my kids, which I can be bad about sometimes, and I'm trying so hard to be better. I just find myself like a little bit lonely, a little bit bored sometimes talking to 2 children all day. And so having just something in my ear to listen to, I think helps me a lot with that. Even like in my car ride, something I've been shifting is my toddler. Normally we listen to her playlist every single time we drive. And lately what I've been doing is giving her a song or two, and she can pick and she will belt every word of it. But once her songs are over, then I get to listen to what I want. It just, again, helps me feel like I'm still in there. Like I'm still a real person outside of being a mom. And I think that's where I have struggled, is when I don't pour into the things that I love. I don't allow myself to listen to anything but kids music all day. My whole life and day is focused on motherhood. That's beautiful, and that is the season of life that I'm in, and it is part of the sacrifice of being a mom. However, it's also important to remind myself I still exist as a person. I am still in there. I actually have a playlist, and I highly recommend doing this, and it's called She's Still in There. And I listen to it when I'm really feeling lost or drowning in motherhood, and it is a bunch of just super nostalgic songs. I'm sure you have these too, that I would listen to in like middle school or when I was younger, and they just take me back to like this adolescent version of myself. I can link it for you, but it's probably not like gonna move you the way it moves me, because it was songs that I had on like my iPod when I was 13 years old, and it just kind of recenters me and reminds me that she's still in there, you know, like I'm just a girl and I am alive, and I am so thankful for this life, and I'm not just a slave to motherhood. I love motherhood. I love my children, and this is an honor. That was a lot. I think I'm going to go on my little question box and just read off some of the things that you guys said on Instagram. If you don't follow me, you should go follow me. It's also Emma Grace Jens. Just share some tips that you guys gave me. The number 1 tip was to get out of the house every single day. Having a play date, running to the store, going to the library, planning one activity a day. This is super helpful. I definitely notice my mental health spike a little bit when we get to get out of the house, and sometimes it's super stressful, especially with 2 kids, to leave the house. And I can't imagine when I have more than 2 how hard it will be to leave and do an outing every day. This was a lot easier with 1 kid, and I feel like it's a lot of work. Like I always come home feeling a little bit drained when we have an outing, but it is nice and it keeps you busy. Planning a trip to have something to look forward to, planning a girls' night, fill your cup by doing an activity that you can enjoy alongside your children, getting a hobby, get outside even if it's cold, try something new. Oh, trying a new routine, so go out to a different location or changing up your daily routine with your kids. Find small ways to make your home feel special to you. I often find that a tiny bit of decorating helps. Anytime I do something to make my home prettier, the happier I am to stay home. I actually feel this so deeply. I feel like, not going crazy, but you know when you're a kid and you rearrange your room and it just feels so nice to have like a different arrangement? I feel like I do that every once in a while, where I'll like change up an art print on the wall, or I'll change up the arrangement, and it really does help. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. Try doing a transformation. Decorate the house in a theme and make the day about that. This gives like room transformation vibes when I was a teacher. This is so fun. I'm totally gonna do this. And then the whole day is like snacks and crafts about a certain theme. Oh my gosh, can you tell I was a teacher? That is such a good idea. I'm gonna steal that. Lots of like taking breaks, asking somebody to watch the kids just for like an hour or 2, planning date nights, lots of change up the routine. Look back at when you started and reflect. You will instantly appreciate the growth. That's so true. I got so many responses, but I feel like it's a lot of the same things that I've kind of already said. Get out of the house, take breaks, switch up the routine, and then like do things that you actually enjoy. I hope that this was helpful and not just like a vent session, because I don't ever want to come on here and just complain, because again, I feel like I have to justify my struggles or my own feelings, which I know that I don't. But I know that this is a privilege. I know that it is the biggest blessing to get to stay home with my kids. I also think you can feel this in all areas of your life, not just stay-at-home moms, but I know what a privilege it is. And I know there are a lot of people that would love to be in my shoes. So I don't ever take this for granted. I don't really have a pretty way to tie this up with a bow. This is just very open and vulnerable and raw and super long and chatty. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And honestly, I just hope that you feel less alone and just feel seen by me sharing openly how I'm feeling, because motherhood is really hard. It's also a privilege and an honor. And so give yourself lots of grace, and don't forget that you are not a bad mom for feeling burnt out. And so I hope that this was helpful for you to kind of find some tools to utilize. I know a lot of these things I am starting now to just fill up my toolkit and help myself feel better. And I will say it's only been 2 days. Like, this is day 2 of me just kind of like getting up, pulling myself up by my bootstraps and being like, okay, something's got to give here. This is all my life and I get to choose how I'm feeling and what we're doing in our days. And just from 2 days of kind of changing my mindset, changing our routine a little bit, implementing some of these practices, truly I feel so much better already. So here's your motivation. If you are also feeling this way, simple things can really make a big difference, and it can feel very overwhelming and very isolating, but you're not alone, and it is possible to find joy in the mundane and to kind of heal that burnout. Thanks so much for watching. Truly, if you made it all the way to the end, comment down below which emoji should we do. The heart hands emoji. That'll tell me you watched it all the way to the end. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, friends.